It was in the early part of the 6th century that King Arthur occupied what was then an Iron Age fortress at South Cadbury. Ramparts built by an earlier generation of warriors gave his settlement instant defences. But at this time it was not called Camelot. This was a medieval name for King Arthur's court and military headquarters. And Arthur in fact was a Celtic warrior chief who defended the west against the invading Saxons. But finds on the hill convince archaeologists that no one else but Arthur could have occupied this fortress at this time. While excavating the hill, they've uncovered evidence of 4,000 years of early British occupation, beginning in Neolithic times. One of the main finds is the site of a large timber hall where Arthur's warriors would have feasted and where he would have planned his battles. In the southwestern corner is the main gateway. This was fortified and was the scene of numerous battles. The archaeologists have uncovered javelin and arrowheads lost during attempts to storm the town. During excavations here, roads made in Iron Age, Roman and Saxon times have all been uncovered. But what was the gateway like during the time of King Arthur?
Oh, imagine a wooden gateway. We've found evidence of 4 major posts, and so we had 4 gates, a double gateway. There would have been a roof over the top, a rampart walk, and so we had a sort of tunnel effect there. You would have only been allowed through the first gate before you were allowed through the second, you know. Well, here you can see a guard chamber cut into the natural rock, and you can see quite clearly that it was burnt. And there are some of the roof timbers still in situ. We haven't moved them yet. There was clearly a major fire here.
And a skull? You found a skull towards the bottom of the gate?
Yes, indeed we have. That came out this afternoon, and you came at the right time to pick that up. It must represent either a trophy skull that was on a spear on the bridge across the gate, or it must represent the sacking of the town.
Broken pottery, human and animal bones, and stone, brass and iron weapons are all cleaned with toothbrushes. Then they're examined and catalogued. In one storage hole, hundreds of sling stones were uncovered. These had been brought as weapons from the Dorset coast. I asked the director of excavations if they'd found evidence of any other figures connected with the legend of King Arthur.
No direct evidence, but so far as Guinevere is concerned, I think one can say straight out she has a good British name. One can reasonably imagine that our British general of around 500 was a married man, and he could perfectly well have had a wife called Guinevere. Merlin is altogether a more insubstantial figure, and I would be very, very dubious about defending Merlin.
And would the knights and the Round Table have been on top of South Cadbury?
Certainly not knights in any sense that people normally think of this. Arthur would have had a war band, a group of professional soldiers dedicated to his individual service, and that's the nearest one can get. But the Round Table, this is just an invention of the later Middle Ages.
Camelot covers 18 acres, but of this only a small part has been excavated. In these areas, when the dig has been completed, no signs of Camelot will be left. The archaeologists will remove and examine everything down to the bedrock of the hill. And so the work, delicately begun 5 years ago with trowels and brushes, will then be finished with bulldozers and dumpers. These will fill in the holes and trenches, but there will be enough left of Camelot for future archaeologists and visitors to dig and discover more of the legend of King Arthur. Keith Hatfield, News at 10, Camelot.